Hello and welcome to my channel, and welcome to a Sunday morning meetup in which I discuss my April wrap-up and my rolling TBR for May 2019. Also keep watching if you want to hear a section I have included at the end, especially for those who have trouble with book borrowers and find out what Robert Service thinks should be done with them. I read 5 books in April. The first book I read was Tales of the Ring and Tales of the Camp by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle for my short story project. I spoke about these stories in my spotlight on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. See the link in the info cards above. So the first of the 5 books I plan to read in May is the second collection of Doyle's short stories, Tales of Pirates and Tales of Blue Water. I did not get to my Desert Island book in April, Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, because Steve chose another book by Anthony Trollope for his read-along. And so the second book I read in April was Phineas Redux, the 4th book in the parliamentary novels which I read instead. And as Steve plans to do a read-along of the Barchester series later on, I'm going to defer reading this book so that I can read it along with Steve. I will discuss the final section of Phineas Redux in my forthcoming Wednesday interlude. David Murphy wonders why we do a wrap-up before the end of the month when we have 48 hours of reading time left. The answer is that I've not quite finished one of my books, but will finish it by Tuesday the 30th of April, and as this is the last Sunday in the month, Dave, I prefer to do my wrap-up now, as it will not fit in with my plans for videos in early May. The third book I read in April was The Gnome World by Edward P. Jones for my prior chapter tag, and I've given my reactions to that book in that tag video. Likewise, the 4th book I read in April was The Psychopath Test by John Ronson. I had to return this book to the library as another borrower had requested it, but you can see my review of this book and The Gnome World in the link to the tag in video in the info card above. Finally, the 5th book I read and reading in April was East Lynne by Ellen Wood, the 4th book in my Classics Book to Film project. If you've not read East Lynne, I can thoroughly recommend it. It is chock full of fascinating and interesting characters and incidents to keep you enthralled and to want to carry on reading. I spoke about part 1 of that book in my Wednesday interlude video. See the link in the info card above. I think I've provided enough information there to spark your interest in the whole book. 4 books from my foolishly overly ambitious April TBR will be rolling over to June 2019. As part of my British Empire project, I'd half-heartedly planned to read The Day of the Scorpion by Paul Scott, but I have to admit that after reading The Jewel in the Crown, I just couldn't face it straight away, so it rolls over and will be deferred until June. Another book I plan to read in April is The Woman in White by Wilkie as part of my Classics project, but because I decided to read the whole of The Gnome World and The Psychopath Test that I'd only planned to read the first chapter of for my reader chapter tag, I had no time to get to it, so it too rolls over to June. The next book I planned to read in April was Red Rose of Anjou by Jean Plaidy as part of my Plantagenet series project. This is the 13th book in the Plantagenet series, which I began in January 2018. There are 14 books in the series altogether. This too rolls over to June. The next book in my April TBR was The Black Moon, the 5th book in the Poldark saga of 12 books by Winston, which continues my Poldark saga project. This too rolls over to June. The second book I will definitely read in May is Their Finest Hour, the second book in Sir Winston Churchill's memoirs of the Second World War. This is for you, Dave, you skeptic you. The third book I will definitely read in May is Schindler's List by Australian author Thomas Keneally, which I promised to read in recognition of Jacqueline of 6 Minutes for Me having reached her first anniversary on BookTube. And of course my fourth book will be Steve's pick for his read-along, which I imagine will be The Prime Minister, the fifth book in the parliamentary novels by Anthony Trollope, although that hasn't yet been finalised as far as I know. And my fifth and final book for May's TBR is The Psychology of Time Travel by Kate Mascarenhas, which is a carryover from the prior chapter tag which I mentioned earlier. In my forthcoming Wednesday interlude video, I plan to shine the spotlight on Rumpole of the Bailey and Sir John Mortimer. So be sure to subscribe and ring the notifications bell if you want to learn more about Rumpole of the Bailey in particular and Sir John Mortimer in general. And now, as promised, I'm going to read Book Borrower by Robert William Service. I'm a mild man, you'll agree, but read my rages when folks who borrow books from me turn down their pages. Or when a chap a book I lend and find he's loaned it without permission to a friend as if he owned it. But worst of all, I hate those crooks, may hellfires burn them, who beg the loan of cherished books and don't return them. My books are tendrils of myself, no shears can sever. May he who rapes one from its shelf be damned forever. So that's all, folks, and remember to comment, subscribe, like and share, and I'll be back soon with another BookTube video.